Prince William is devastated after uncovering a 30-year-old secret hidden by King Charles, shaking the royal family to its core.
This is from Diana, in her own words, 10 months before she died.
This shocking discovery turns William's world upside down as he learns of a truth that has been concealed for decades.
You feel pain like no other pain, and you know that in your life it's going to be very difficult to...
What did King Charles keep hidden, and how did it impact his eldest son? The consequences of this revelation could change the monarchy's future forever. What do you think? Are these royal secrets truly shocking, or just rumors? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the royal family. Prince William's discovery. It all started one quiet afternoon at the Royal Archives. Prince William, deeply immersed in his duties and responsibilities, came across a set of documents that would alter the course of his life and his relationship with the royal family. While flipping through the papers, he stumbled upon an old letter written by a woman named Rosalia, who had been close to the royal family in the aftermath of Princess Diana's tragic death. The letter, dated shortly after Diana's passing, contained a request for secrecy. What William didn't expect was the contents hidden alongside the letter. Along with it was a diary and a set of tapes believed to have been recorded by Princess Diana herself during the final months of her life. The tapes were an emotional treasure trove. It was like a Trojan horse filled with Diana's private thoughts, her concerns about her children, her lonely existence. The fragile voice of his late mother echoed through the tapes, recounting moments of tenderness, but also offering apologies for the pain she felt her sons would endure growing up in the suffocating environment of the royal family. William, who had spent over 3 decades in the royal spotlight, was stunned. Not only had he never known these recordings existed, but they also represented a part of his mother he had never truly known, her deepest fears, regrets, and love for him. The discovery of these relics immediately raised questions in William's mind. Why had they been kept secret? Why hadn't anyone told him about them, especially when they were so intimately tied to his relationship with his mother? His first reaction was one of deep shock, followed by an overwhelming sense of betrayal. The fact that his father, King Charles, had kept these tapes and the diary hidden for all these years added to the confusion and pain William was feeling. It wasn't the media or external forces that had kept these artifacts from him. It was his own family, the very people he trusted the most. As William carefully examined the tapes and flipped through the pages of the diary, he found himself connecting with his mother in a way he had never experienced before. These were not just personal relics. They were the last words of a mother who had been silenced by the weight of the royal institution. Diana's diaries revealed the raw reality of palace life, her isolation, her struggles with her marriage, and her constant worry about her sons. Diana's voice, as fragile as it was on those tapes, painted a vivid picture of the woman behind the public persona, someone who was just as human as anyone else, with hopes, fears, and the desire to be loved. The discovery was not just an emotional awakening for William, but also a catalyst for the transformation that was about to unfold in the royal family. He was no longer the same man who had carried the weight of royal duty with silent dignity.
I, William, Prince of Wales, pledge my loyalty to you, and faith and truth I will bear unto you.
This discovery opened a floodgate of emotions, and the man who had once lived by tradition and loyalty to the monarchy was now questioning the very system that had distanced him from his mother's truth. He then decided to confront his father for withholding such treasure from him. Watch was Charles's response. Continue watching. The confrontation with King Charles. The discovery of his mother's tapes and diary was a watershed moment in Prince William's life. What followed was an intense and emotional confrontation with his father, King Charles.
He succeeds me as Duke of Cornwall and takes on the responsibilities for the Duchy of Cornwall.
As the eldest son and heir to the throne, William had always respected his father's decisions, even when they were difficult to understand. But now, with this new, shocking revelation, everything changed. The silence surrounding Princess Diana's last words had created a rift between father and son, a gap that had never been fully addressed. The confrontation took place in the privacy of Clarence House, away from the public eye. It was not a grand spectacle of royal drama. There were no loud accusations or angry outbursts. Instead, the atmosphere was thick with unspoken emotions. William, holding the tapes and diary in his hands, looked at his father and asked the question that had been tormenting him. "Why didn't you trust me enough to tell me this?" His voice, though steady, carried the pain of years of suppressed grief and unanswered questions. King Charles, visibly moved, sat in silence for a long moment. The weight of his son's words hung heavily in the room. Finally, he responded, "I just wanted to protect you from pain." His answer was vague, an attempt to justify the secrecy, but it only deepened the distance between them. For William, the notion that his father had kept these precious pieces of his mother's legacy hidden to protect him felt like an act of control, not care. Diana's voice, the last link to the mother he had lost, had been denied to him, and now, in his mind, his father's so-called protection had become a form of deprivation. The conversation grew more tense as William continued to press his father. "Was there anyone else involved in this decision, or was it just you?" The answer Charles gave, "It's complicated," only added to the confusion. There was no clarity, no concrete explanation that could ease William's pain. The truth remained buried, and it felt as if William was now caught between two worlds: the world he had been raised to accept, and the reality of the truth he had just discovered. In that moment, the emotional toll of the conversation became evident. William, whose stoic demeanor had long been a hallmark of his royal role, could no longer hide the inner turmoil. He left the meeting in silence, his eyes red from the tears he had not allowed to fall. The prince, who had once stood beside his father, united in the public eye, now found himself at a crossroads in his personal and royal journey. That night, William retreated to his private study, clutching the tapes and diary in his hands as if they were the last physical connection to his mother. He listened to the recordings, slowly turning the pages of the diary, as his mind and heart tried to process what he had just uncovered. For hours, he sat in the dark, a prince who had always been bound by duty and tradition, now wrestling with the powerful emotions stirred by his mother's voice. This confrontation with King Charles marked a sad turning point for Prince William. It was no longer just a matter of personal loss. The questions that had once been silent, the questions about the monarchy, loyalty, and the price of silence now flooded his mind. Could he continue to uphold the traditions of the royal family when so much had been hidden from him? And more importantly, could he find a way to heal the rift with his father and move forward, knowing that the very foundation of trust between them had been shattered? These questions would be answered soon enough. The emotional toll and growing tension.
The last few weeks have had a rather medical focus, so I thought I'd come to an air ambulance function to get away from it all.
For over 3 decades, William had lived with the notion that silence was a form of loyalty, that by suppressing his own grief and maintaining the royal facade, he was honoring his mother's memory. But with the unveiling of the hidden tapes and diary, the narrative he had constructed around his mother's legacy began to unravel. The personal pain William experienced was not simply about loss, but also about betrayal. A betrayal by the very family that was meant to offer him safety and truth. His decision to confront King Charles, asking why such precious memories had been kept from him, was not just an emotional outburst, but a reflection of deeper feelings of abandonment. The man who had once been the trusted heir to the throne now found himself questioning the role of silence within the monarchy. What had the royal family hidden from him? And why had they kept him so far removed from the truth? Those close to William began to notice a significant change in his demeanor. His once vibrant smile, a trademark of his public appearances, had become a rarity. In private moments, especially with Kate Middleton, his wife, he admitted a deep, growing sadness that he had not anticipated. "I feel like I've lost my mother all over again," he confided, his words tinged with an ache that went far beyond grief. The pain was no longer about missing Diana. It was about the fact that he had been denied the opportunity to know her in her final days. The tapes and diary, fragments of a buried past, had now revealed a side of Diana that he had never been allowed to see. And the loss of that knowledge weighed heavily on him. But what message was Diana trying to pass across to her children? Princess Diana's message.
I knew a fair bit of it, mainly because she'd come back with all these stories and full of excitement and just passion for what she'd been doing. And I sort of used to sit there as quite a sort of, surprised little boy at the time, sort of taking it all in.
After discovering his mother's hidden diaries and tape recordings, Prince William spent a restless night grappling with emotions he had long suppressed. The tapes, particularly, hit him hard. They were not merely memories, they were his mother's final emotional confessions. Diana's voice, fragile yet full of love, conveyed vulnerability and honesty that had never been shared with the public. For years, William had been shielded from this intimate side of his mother, and hearing her speak directly to him and Harry was both comforting and painful. The recordings revealed a side of Diana that was raw and candid, speaking about her struggles within the royal family, her loneliness, and the toll of her marriage to Charles. She even shared heartfelt apologies to her sons for not being the mother they needed. In her voice, William could sense the deep pain she had experienced, something that had been kept from him by the very family that should have been a source of comfort.
I very much feel if I can do it myself, I want to do it myself. And there are times when you can't do it yourself and the system takes over or it's appropriate to do things differently. But
alone in his study, William listened as Diana's words filled the room. Her reflections were not just about her own suffering, but also about the future of her children. Diana worried about the monarchy's grip on their lives, fearing her sons would be trapped in the same cycle of duty and public scrutiny that had defined her existence. William had always thought of his mother as the people's princess, the epitome of strength. But these tapes showed him a different woman, one who felt powerless, isolated, and misunderstood. As he sat listening, the question that plagued him was why his father, King Charles, had kept these precious remnants of Diana's life hidden for so long. Why had he chosen silence instead of truth? For William, this wasn't just about protecting him from pain, it was about rewriting history, erasing the raw truths of his mother's life to protect the monarchy's image. This discovery marked a turning point for William. It wasn't just about the grief of losing his mother all over again, but about realizing the depth of the silence that had shaped his upbringing. The tapes also revealed Diana's concerns about her legacy, about being forgotten by the very family that had once been her own. It was a fear that echoed in William's heart. He had always believed that his mother's memory was safe, that he could carry on her legacy in a way that honored her. But now he wondered if he had been living in a version of the past that had been carefully constructed. a version that kept him away from the truth. By the time the night ended, William had no answers, but he had a new understanding of his role. The weight of the crown, the monarchy's traditions, and his own beliefs about family and loyalty were now forever changed. In that quiet study, surrounded by his mother's words, William realized that his journey forward would be one of reconciliation, not just with the truth he had just listened to, but with his brother, Harry. Before he met with Harry, he had to take care of something else, the tension in the royal family. As the truth of Diana's final words begins to ripple through the royal family, the air grows thick with unspoken tension. Prince William is not the only one feeling the weight of these revelations. Kate, ever the quiet strength beside him, finds herself grappling with her own mounting concerns. She has always known how deeply William was affected by his mother's death, but the discovery of the hidden diaries and tapes has cast a shadow over their lives that neither of them anticipated. Kate's role in this emotional turmoil is subtle but significant. While William is torn between the past and the future, his duty and his desires, Kate provides the quiet support that he needs. She stands by him, not just as a wife, but as someone who understands the burden he bears. The weight of these secrets, now exposed, has unsettled their lives, and Kate is his anchor. She listens when he needs to speak, offers her silent presence when words are too much, and holds his hand through every moment of confusion and pain. But even Kate can't ignore the growing tensions within the royal family. She understands the delicate balance of tradition and change that William now faces. She knows that the choices they make could either bring healing or fracture the monarchy beyond repair. As Diana's voice begins to echo louder than ever, the royal family is caught in a precarious position. King Charles, already battling his own demons and the pressure of his reign, feels the ground beneath him shaking. His marriage to Camilla, long scrutinized by the public, now faces the added scrutiny of William's growing emotional journey. The quiet walls of the palace, once designed to protect the family's image, are now reverberating with the discomfort of a legacy that cannot be buried any longer. What follows is the moment Harry knew about his mother's message. Keep watching. Prince William and Harry. A path to reconciliation. In the aftermath of William's discovery of his mother's hidden diaries and tape recordings, a deep reflection not only stirred his emotions, but also led him to a significant decision: reaching out to his brother, Prince Harry. For years, their relationship had been marked by a growing distance, driven by both personal and public divides. However, the contents of the tapes, which revealed Princess Diana's personal struggles and her love for her sons, pushed William to reconsider his estranged bond with Harry. The emotional toll of hearing their mother's voice again was overwhelming for both brothers. But for William, it became clear that the time for silence was over. Diana's voice, full of regret yet filled with love, had always been a voice of unity. Her concern for both William and Harry had been apparent in her final messages, and now, more than ever, William felt the need to reconnect with his brother. For too long, Harry had felt like an outsider within the royal family, distanced from the unity William had come to represent. The discovery of these personal relics of their mother was a reminder of the familial ties that had once been unbreakable. Despite the tumultuous years when both brothers had taken different paths, William dutifully following in his father's footsteps and Harry venturing off to carve his own path in America, the weight of shared grief and love for their mother offered a bridge to healing. William reached out to Harry, offering him a simple but profound gesture. "I have something my mother left me. I thought you should know." That phone call, though short, carried immense emotional weight. It wasn't just about the contents of Diana's diaries and tapes, but also about acknowledging the loss, the pain, and the history that had kept them apart for so long. In a family where silence often ruled, this moment marked a departure from the past. It was an opening to heal old wounds, a step towards acknowledging the shared trauma that both brothers had lived with, even if unspoken. The shared grief over their mother's death, once a painful dividing line, could now serve as a unifying force. The conversations that would follow, the moments of reflection as they both processed the past, held the potential to mend their fractured relationship. Both men had been shaped by the same tragedy, yet their different reactions to it had kept them on separate journeys. For William, the possibility of reconciliation with Harry wasn't just about healing their bond. It was about honoring their mother's memory in a way that she would have wanted, together. Diana had always dreamed of her sons standing united, and William knew that now was the time to act on that dream. He wasn't just seeking to rebuild a personal relationship, he was striving to preserve the legacy of love, respect, and togetherness that Diana had left behind. Now, what happens next? The future of the monarchy. The repercussions of the revelations surrounding Diana's secret diaries and tapes extend far beyond the walls of the palace. For the royal family, this truth presents a crucial crossroads that could alter the course of its future. The monarchy, built on centuries of tradition, now finds itself grappling with the tension between preserving the legacy of a well-established institution and honoring the personal truth of Diana's voice.
The energy that she had that really rubbed off on me for causes such as this.
As the royal family has worked tirelessly to uphold its image, the surfacing of Diana's intimate thoughts exposes an uncomfortable vulnerability. For decades, her death has been shrouded in grief, scandal, and unanswered questions. Now, William's discovery threatens to tear down the walls the monarchy has so carefully constructed. The decision to conceal or reveal her final words will have far-reaching consequences. Should the royal family continue to suppress Diana's truth to maintain the monarchy's unbroken image? Or should they face the painful reality of her words, accepting the rawness of her legacy? This dilemma underscores a larger conflict: the monarchy's desire to protect its public image versus the need to reckon with a painful but ultimately human reality. If the family chooses to hide the truth once again, it risks perpetuating a cycle of control and suppression. But if they allow Diana's voice to be heard, the monarchy will need to reckon with the public's response and the fractured relationship it may cause within the family. The future of the crown hangs in the balance, and William's role in navigating this moment may reshape the monarchy for generations to come. The public's reaction. For years, Diana's legacy has been both adored and scrutinized, and now, with the truth of her final thoughts on the brink of exposure, the world's attention shifts once again to her memory. People who once mourned her tragic death now find themselves invested in hearing her untold story, a story that could redefine how the world views the royal family. William, as the one holding this key to the past, has become the focal point of public interest. The press and public are captivated by his journey, offering both admiration for his courage and sympathy for his pain. There is a growing sense of support for William, as many see this as a chance to right the wrongs of the past, to give Diana the voice she was denied in life, and ensure her legacy is honored. His decision becomes not just a personal one, but a public reckoning with how the monarchy has handled its most painful chapter. At the same time, there is a heightened sense of expectation. The public demands transparency, and they want to know, will William allow Diana's truth to emerge? The resurfacing of her voice forces the media to re-examine long-held narratives about the royal family. The press, often caught between its duty to report and the constraints of palace silence, finds itself in uncharted territory. Their coverage of the tapes and diaries could either offer support for William's journey or deepen the divide between the royal family and its critics. As the public clamor grows, it becomes clear that the royal family can no longer control the narrative. Diana's voice, once silenced, now has the power to shape the future of the monarchy in ways no one can predict. Prince William's discovery of his mother's hidden diaries marks a profound shift in both his personal journey and the future of the monarchy. It signals the end of an era defined by secrecy and the beginning of a new, more transparent and modern monarchy. As William navigates this emotional revelation, his decisions will shape not only his reign, but the legacy of the royal family. What will his next steps mean for the monarchy, his family, and the world? Only time will tell. However, you can leave your thoughts about this truth in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay updated on more dramatic revelations from the royal family.